I've been lucky enough to pick up every Jaka brick, Defenders, and MCU style Daredevil suit so far. I missed out on the Born Again one, but I'm not super bummed about that. All of these have had a really great amount of accessories, of course, print, and I'm very excited to check out their two new minifigures, being this 2-pack here of the Season 1 homemade suit for Matt, and of course the main Daredevil suit for the Netflix series. I'm going to break this up into 2 videos though, just because there's going to be a lot to go over with all the accessories. So today we're going to miss out on the Daredevil suit, but I am still excited to take a look at the homemade version of the first season suit, so let's check that out with the contents. Like all of Jaka's standard minifigures, Matt's going to come in their typical plastic case, which is a nice hard plastic, but is really just held together by friction. So when you're moving things around, if you have a bunch of them in your hands, you could dump stuff out. Of course, you got the minifigure. You have his 2 batons, which are actually custom molded with some wood grain on them. You have an additional pair of printed hands, and of course, an extra head. Inside of all his figures, you got the metallic card with the minifigure render on it, and so that's looking cool with the silver. On the back, his Instagram handle, a little bit of write-ups with the legal warnings. Lots to check out again. Very excited to take a look at the minifigure, so let's go ahead and get it on the stand. At first glance, I'm really liking this Daredevil minifigure. I guess my really only big complaint that I'll just point out right away is that the transition from the molded sort of rope piece to the printed one is a little jarring since there's no color on this at all. It's just extremely bright white to a darker, more detailed white with the extra black printed to give it that extra little bit of rope texturing. So that's the only thing that really jumps out at me. Also, since these hands are black, the front, it looks like black, and then you look at the side, it's white for that rope. So a little inconsistent there. But you can see that there is that rope printing on the inside of the hands as well. And these arm pieces are going to be just the typical gauntlet piece that these custom companies typically will make for something that goes on the arm like that, where it has the little band going all the way across, and then the other bit of it is just molded to wrap around the arm for the specific side. So these will not be interchangeable for both sides of the arms. One will just be the right, one will be the left version. Usually there's not like a print on it or anything for you to be able to tell, but it won't fit on the other arm. Another goofy thing to point out is that these are black legs printed gray, which is a bit goofy, and it's something that I know people have pointed out to me, and I've kind of realized it for all their figures, is that their legs are usually the same color. So that's a little goofy, because it should probably be gray with black printing on it, or even dual molded dark bluish gray. But I think this gray is kind of like a custom color where it might honestly be old dark gray. Not super easy to tell right now, but when you put a dark bluish gray brick next to it, you can see that there is a bit of a color difference. Sorry, with the shadows, it makes it a little bit harder to tell, but I do think this is dark old gray for like the sweatpants, pants, whatever he's wearing. The boot printing looks great with the different buckles and different parts of that. Laces look good too. Sorry that it's showing up all this dust since it's a black figure. I guess I'm lucky where my mask is a little bit looser, so I can actually remove it. I guess that's been an issue for some people where it's been too tight. So right here we have a more neutral matte expression for when he is unmasked, doesn't have his glasses on, obviously. It's kind of fun. There's a little bit of red for an undershirt underneath his black long sleeve. Other than that, it is pretty much black and gray printing all over. You get the belt wrapping around all the way on the outside of the legs. And I believe inside leg printing as well to continue the boot design. So that's a nice seamless design there. Not too detailed though, which is nice. They always try and keep it a little bit Lego-like. So nothing crazy. Again, though, they even printed the bottom of the feet to be that gray color, which is a little interesting since they could have just left that as black, but I don't know, maybe the bottom of the boots would have a gray sole instead, and that would make sense. Looking around the torso, we have the mask off. You can see that there's a little bit of collar at the back there. Shoulder blades, wrinkles on the back, wrinkles on the front. So nothing too detailed. I'm gonna guess no side torso printing here. Don't really need it, obviously. Don't usually include that on their figures. I'm gonna guess there's no extra printing on the bottom of the arm there. That's something that could be present, I guess. But if it's just gonna be more creases, I'm not super pressed. Either they're there or they're not. I don't really care. But I think right now for the base minifigure right out of the packaging, it is pretty cool. One thing that they pointed out on their Instagram post is that the mask, it has a decent amount of friction, so you can press it down as much as you want to for different positions on the minifigure. So you can have it a little bit higher, all the way down, which kind of covers the mouth, a little bit in between. So there's customization, I guess, just because there is friction to lower or raise the mask and where the point on the mouth basically lays. So I guess that's cool. I don't know. It's just too bad if you press it down all the way, it basically covers the mouth. I don't love that. So that's kind of weird. There's that little bit of white printed all the way around. Let's see. It does get cut off where that knot is, though. So kind of a nice effect. I guess before I put this mask back on, we'll toss on the other facial expression. There's also the bloody hand, so I'll toss those on too. And I guess I did end up taking out the hand, so it was easy to get the bandages off. There are a couple more wrinkles on the end of the arms. And I just want to say that these hands were very hard to take off. Sometimes it can be helpful to put something in the hand, like a bar, to help twist them off. But yeah, these were especially tight this time around. And honestly, this will probably be the look that I'll keep on this version of the character, since it's a little bit more unique. And it did seem like both hands are identical, so you're not going to have to be picky about which hand goes on which arm, which is nice. And I'll just bring it up again. It is kind of fun that there's like subtle creases in these sticks to give them kind of wood texture. So that's very fun. It makes them very unique as accessories. They could have just done normal Lego bars. They didn't for some reason. That just brings me to my weird observation about this minifigures. I feel like it definitely could have been a light minifigure versus a standard release, since didn't necessarily need to make the molds for the armbands and could have just made the mold for the mask. So that's a little confusing here, especially with the legs. Like you could just dual molded dark bluish gray black bootlegs like they have for the different Star Wars like Imperial characters. Those exist, so I feel like that would have been an easy thing to swap out. Maybe still print the belt if you really want to, but I don't know. The blood on there, it looks like he's got his nose bleeding. Looks pretty natural. Both of the heads, I feel like the facial hair is pretty decent. Feels like it's a lot redder on this than maybe some of the other Matt Murdock minifigures. Same with the eyebrows. Or maybe it's just in this lighting. It seems like it is that kind of dark red color versus more brown. So that's kind of interesting. And I guess on this head, while we're at it, I'll just toss on the Matt Murdock here that they made for the lawyer version. And yeah, I feel like that fits. I'm gonna guess they use kind of the same template for the facial hair on both of these characters that they made. So, looks good. I feel like for these faces too, you could probably use them for other characters if you really wanted to. And we'll get the mask on this one. I noticed the head is a little bit tighter around the mask in this case, or the mask is a little tighter around the head. I was playing with it off camera, so gonna be a little bit more careful when you're taking it off because it'll be a little tighter. And I got it a little out of line. Yeah, you can see right there, it's not as smooth to get off. Something like that probably works. But it's a very fun rendition of the character. I'm glad to have this version of the suit. Honestly, when I got the 2-pack at first, I thought I wouldn't be super excited about this, but the more I thought about it and the fact that they included some bullseye add-ons for the base Daredevil suit, you could really pose these off of each other with that. So I think that's kind of neat. And like I said, though, I feel like this could be a light minifigure and could have been cheaper, but since it was in the 2-pack, it's kind of hard to compare the price anyway. With that said, let's go to some comparisons and the final verdict. So far from what I've seen, I feel like the Jaka brick, like Defenders line, has been one of the most consistent lines of all their minifigures, at least in my collection, where I feel like I haven't had too many terrible issues so far, and I feel like all the designs have been pretty unique and just great takes on the characters, especially with the Daredevil minifigure that we looked at today. Having the extra bloody hands, the bloody face. It's great to have options, and it's nice that you can have two different looks, whether it has the blood or not. It is unfortunate, though, with the mask, they couldn't do double-sided faces, I guess, which maybe they could have, where it could have been like a teeth showing face like this without blood on one side and then blood on the other, and then vice versa with the other head with blood and no blood. Something like that would be more interesting, I guess, and give you, again, more options. But what we do have right here is pretty good. I do like that the accessory is actually molded, not just brown Lego bars. That is above and beyond for sure, and it looks very good next to the lawyer version of Matt Murdock as well. Of course, just looking at all the other Jaka minifigures here, I feel like for the most part, every time they do include an extra facial option or accessory with the blood on it, looks pretty good with, you know, the Logan minifigure here, as well as Nice Pool, also featuring bloody faces in some way. I already upgraded the Luke Cage minifigure here with some Citizen Brick legs. Got to figure out something to do for Danny there as well, but very happy to have those three members of the Defenders now, and the lawyer version. I do have Jaka's version of Jessica Jones as well that I'll review eventually, but when I get to that one, I'll be able to finally have that whole lineup. And just thinking about it now, I forgot to toss on the mask onto the suit body, which is something that happens in Defenders, so I'll just do that quick before we sign off. But I do really like this whole lineup of their minifigures. I think all the figures, all the accessories look really great, and it's nice just to move stuff around like you just saw me do there. Why not? And boom, got the Matt Murdock head on this first suit from the Netflix series. All the parts are interchangeable for all the different Matt Murdock minifigures, basically. So nice to see. And then we have him in his suit for when he's fighting with the Defenders. So best part about custom Lego, obviously all these minifigures, other than the Phoenix Customs one, are one brand, but compatibility with parts and prints is always great. And it's nice to see that they aren't making their figures more detailed than they need to be, because honestly, you could toss these on official Lego parts too. And I know I already brought up the color difference in the review, but this is a lot more obvious, where you have the two different dark grays there, dark bluish gray, and then the old dark gray. So there is a difference in color there. So good on them, I guess, for printing the legs in that more unique color versus just using the dual molded ones like I brought up to make a light minifigure. And I guess that's unexpected, where I would have probably thought that they would just do dark bluish gray, but let me know for the colors. Do you have a preference there, or how are you feeling about all these minifigures in this lineup? Like I said, I am really enjoying these. If you want to see more custom Lego Daredevil or custom Lego Marvel videos overall, check out all the content on my channel. I have been Brick Radiop, and I will see you in the next video.